This is the Team Objection podcast for August 30th, 2018, episode 357, a shorter one because it's election night, at least for some states across our great country, including Arizona. But we are here. Dave is not. He's in California. Hopefully he drowns in the ocean.
That's a nice
He was
thought.
like, he sent a picture. It was like, don't you just love waking up early on vacation day?
Quick shot, grab your headphones.
And I was like, dude, we cannot be any more different. Waking up early on vacation day?
I do it, but usually it's not intentional.
No. Are you joking?
I don't make a point of it. I'm sure for some people it's like, well, it gives you the whole day of your vacation to do whatever you want. And I sleep in on vacation.
Yeah, and what I want is to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will do that. Thank you.
Wait, what is this photo you guys were talking about?
It was like at the beach. He's trying to be all artsy. So he just
God.
took like, it was like no one was in it. It was just the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Waves. I think he was trying to be poetic or something.
He was trying to be artsy and also fartsy.
He was trying to make pictures for his memoir.
Yeah, because photos, just endless photos of beaches are, so uncommon.
Yeah. He was going to do The Color of Beige, the David Robinson story.
That would be a great title for
It's like
his
The Color
memoir.
of Purple, but awful and boring.
Right.
Right, yeah.
So he's not
Color
here.
beach.
We'll miss him to the best of our ability, which will vary between the cast members, I imagine, but...
It's weird that he's, back semi-regularly. I don't even really know when that happened, but... Yeah, it's, weird that he's not here right now.
Well, I'm disappointed if only because we had 1 week of HD Dave, and now it's immediately gone.
That's true.
That's how he does it. He's like a thorn that you get in your foot, and it gets infected, and it's really gross. But then you start to get used to it, and you develop a certain fondness for it.
That's your infection.
Yeah, or like a dog that you like to kick, but you miss it when it stops coming around.
Mm-hmm. But you still kick that dog.
Oh yeah, I mean, of course.
Every day.
You guys, I saw quick detour. I saw Black Klansman.
Is it good?
It's so good.
Cool.
It's so good.
I want to see it. I saw that other movie that's super racially important, and now I can't remember the name of it.
Get Out?
No, Sorry to Bother You.
Yeah.
Oh. I haven't even heard of that.
The Black Panther for Asians, which is a unfair descriptor, but still about as culturally relevant to that particular group. So
and Crazy Rich Asians just came out.
Yeah,
and was very successful.
Everything is coming up great for everybody, unless you're white, in which case the whole race is threatened.
And man, I'm so sick of this reverse racism all the time.
Yeah, we're so marginalized these days.
Between the women and the colors, I don't even know what I can do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear.
No, that's legit. So it's great. You go to this Black Klansman movie and you watch it and you're like, wow, this is 70s probably is the set piece, but everything is still happening today. And actually, he does that at the end of the movie. Spike Lee goes through the ending's really good, and I won't say what it is, but it ties thematically directly into shots of all of the racially charged riots and the neo-Nazi march that was recently done, and to show that they're still here, it's still happening.
And that's Spike Lee, right?
Yeah.
Who directed it?
And how does it compare to other seminal Spike Lee classics such as Livin' the Dream?
I have not seen a lot of Spike Lee. I think I've seen Jungle Fever.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen that.
And I've seen...
Do the Right Thing?
I think I've seen Do the... Is that the one with Samuel L. Jackson and he wants cocaine from his parents and he accidentally kills his mom or vice versa? They kill him.
I don't exactly remember. I just remember it was during a heat wave in a inner city.
Could be. I don't know then. Maybe it wasn't.
There's a lot of characters. It's been a while since I've seen it.
I'm really hoping that's either 100% correct or 0.
I know. That would be
Either way, it's fun.
funny.
Spike Lee, he's not subtle.
No.
But it really worked for this movie. There was a movie where he the movie's ending and he there's a shot of him with the cast. And God, I'm going to butcher this, but I believe it was like, just so y'all know, like racism is still real and we really got to work so it was like completely breaking the fourth wall. And this kind of had that, but I thought it was a lot more artfully done.
He loves doing that. He did the same thing at the end of his stupid NBA 2K16 thing.
Oh,
he showed the cast in their mocap outfits, and then everybody else was on like camera crew and whoever else worked on it, and
At least that was like bloopers and behind the scenes, not
kind of.
like
It wasn't like in the media. Yeah.
We had NBA 2K16. Well, we have a very important message.
Thousands of people die every year from basketball.
Yeah.
And like sad piano music starts playing.
So practice carefully. Play, but with caution.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so he will do that, and I feel like sometimes his message is too it's too overt. And the message sometimes suffers from that. I feel like in BlacKkKlansman he just told a really great story, and the message was much better because of it.
I haven't seen any of the ones where they're super overt. I mean, granted, I've literally only seen Do the Right Thing, and to me, that was really artful. It didn't have those moments where like anyone's breaking the fourth wall or being, super obvious about the theme, but it's very much in your face and apparent, but it's artfully done. So I'm interested. I've heard that the guy who directed Sorry to Bother You he wrote a pretty scathing review of BlacKkKlansman, even though they're kind of doing the same thing, like thematically. So I'm curious to compare them. I'd like to watch both.
I am really interested to hear what this racist. No, I'm just kidding. It's okay. You don't have to like everything that comes out, but I would be curious because it's like 96% Rotten Tomatoes. Like people are really digging this movie.
Well, and I think it was a similar kind of rating system for Sorry to Bother You, and it's also by a black man. So, like, you can kind of, like, see, not everyone's opinions are the same based on race or, whatever. And it's kind of awesome that we're even having these debates, that we have this breadth of storytelling from people of color who have things that they want to talk about politically, and that we can have these discussions, that there's platforms for them to do this. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I loved it. I really did. And it was super funny when it wanted to be funny, but it was also like very poignant. And I was wondering if people wouldn't like it because I felt like there was some examination a little bit on both sides at times. So it wasn't just like white men are evil, which would have been fine. God, if you see this movie, like it's horrible. But like there was a black female character in the movie who's like, I hate pigs. And if you're a cop, you're a pig and I hate you. And the main character's a cop and he's like, you really think all cops are part of the system? And she's like, yes, even you. And so it's like sometimes everybody just has their blinders on to certain things. And I don't know if some people don't want to hear that, but I thought it was cool. I don't know.
That is interesting. That complicates it a lot. And honestly, that's what we're up against. There's a lot of complex issues at hand. There's really no black or white. Isn't that funny? Yeah. But it's true. I think it's important to investigate the complexities.
And I learned about Birth of a Nation.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard terrible things. I never heard why. And it was the birth of the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
At least in this form, I'm sure racist white people were always going to gather. But
yes,
this is what the inspiration for this particular model was.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll go see it.
You share interests with whatever you can find, and if that just happens to be like latent racism, then that's what you have to go with. You got to latch on.
Yeah,
because
totally.
I didn't know that this movie was a thing. It was like, have you heard of it?
What?
Birth of a Nation is
yes. I was a film studies minor. Like,
so
it came up.
Is it accurate to say it's like an alternate reality where like black people are in charge and it paints society as like, look at how society has gone to shit with these incompetent black people in charge. And like the heroes are like the knights of the whatever and they're white. And
it's presented as a dystopia, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, that is accurate, yes.
And Woodrow Wilson loved it.
Yeah. Isn't that fun?
Yeah. He said it was history written with lightning.
Whoa.
He's a big fan. Also
Holy
very
shit.
white.
Yeah. That's
Woodrow Wilson, best president.
Yeah. Can confirm, very white.
So I watched 12 Angry Men last night.
Oh, that's I've never seen it, but
I've never seen it.
Desperately want to.
Oh, you really
Me
should.
too.
I know like everything about it, but like I want to watch it.
It's super good. And don't watch the remake with Tony Danza. Don't watch the original, even though it's from 60 plus years ago now, which is frightening.
Okay.
With the exception of Angels in the Outfield, I will never watch a Tony Danza film. So
Yeah, I think
my
that's
God.
exactly right. Yeah. But the reason I bring that up is because they actually have a scene in there. The defendant in the case that you only see in the very beginning before they all go in the jury room for the remainder of it is of questionable ethnicity. And at the time, it was meant to be kind of open-ended. Is he European? Is he Hispanic? It's not really clear. And, of course, things were very different in the 1950s as far as what groups we were not big fans of at a given moment. But it's interesting because there's one character who seems to have that kind of like latent racism to him. And he keeps talking about you people and these people and they're all the same and all this stuff. And everybody else in the room eventually ends up shunning him in what I thought was a pretty damn progressive moment for a movie made in 1957.
That's really interesting. I've heard nothing but really good things about that film. It's always been on my list, but older films tend to just like keep going down and down the ladder because they're kind of an investment for some reason. Just like the way we watch films is so different these days that a movie that is like 60 plus years old, it's kind of, you have to watch it differently and it can be a little bit like taxing. But I'll move it back up my list because I've heard that it's great.
You can find it for free online. Not that I should be condoning that, but I don't even know if the copyright's expired on it, to be honest. It's that old to the point where it's just, you can see the whole thing for free.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I feel that way with some movies, but like I watched It's a Wonderful Life, which I still do love.
Yeah.
Casablanca, I feel like is still great.
Yeah, some of them hold up and they almost have like a pacing of like modern films, which is really fascinating. And it really just says how, ahead of their time that they were. Yeah. Another one is Holiday from like 1938 with Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant. That movie is progressive as hell and like really, truly charming. One of my favorites. I've seen it like 4 times and I watched it for the first time last year. I just loved it. I was kind of shocked. It's black and white. Like it's super old school, but it's just like really sharp writing. I hadn't really come across any kind of romance movie like that before, ever.
Pacing is interesting. Like Arsenic and Old Lace, I think, is good, but it suffers from that a little bit where you're like, whoa, like you said, exhausting kind of. Like you're used to films being different.
Gone with the Wind suffers from this.
Oh, my God.
Granted, that's its own beast because it's giant and long and has an actual intermission, but it feels like you could leave about an hour of that on the cutting floor and not miss much of anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Did not like that movie.
I didn't really either. I think it's important, but I don't think it's good.
Maybe I watched it the wrong time. I was like in 5th grade. That was probably way too young anyway. But I was
probably... Well, and I think, Chris, there's a huge difference to me between important and like good.
Yeah.
Like Citizen Kane, you could not pay me to watch it again.
No, I watched it in freshman year of college. I will never see it again.
No, and there's no need to. Like what's really cool about it is you can look at all of the the techniques that are used and like the storytelling and be like, this is, I mean, it's everywhere. You see it everywhere nowadays. And we can kind of see it as like, this is the point that everyone started using film as like an art form. It's so important, but itself is not that good. Well, like, it's not that good.
The best is when you can get the hybrid of both. So, like, I would rather go back and watch some of Charlie Chaplin's silent films.
Yes.
Which were also very important at the time. He was, like, the lead man. Then I would rather go back and watch Citizen Kane. Because similarly, like, I can go back and play the original Super Mario Brothers, and there have been better games, both derivative and completely new since then. But I can still play that, and I'm like, this is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Mario 3's better, but Mario 1's good.
I mean, the same token, though, like Game Informer, their number 1 game of all time was the original Legend of... No! It's Final Fantasy VI, so actually, I take that back. But a lot of people have, like, the original Legend of Zelda, the original Mario was like, this is my best game ever. And I'm like, I don't think you're differentiating most important and best. And I think there is certainly a difference. You're going to tell me what is a better experience, Super Mario Brothers or, like... Odyssey, like, and it's not even fair.
No.
But like one is important much more than the other, and then one is just better. It takes the ideas that were pioneered 30 years ago and like perfects them, or at least moves them along.
What would you rather play, Pong or Mario Tennis Aces?
Right.
I mean, it's not fair, but it's still the way it is.
And if you answer Pong, that's your nostalgia, and like that's fine. But
great.
Let's be real.
Nothing wrong with Pong, but also you can play it for about 10 minutes and go, okay, that's my life's fill of Pong.
Yeah, but no one can argue that was like cutting edge, and that was you know.
Well, that was the only game in town. I got no qualms with it. Like, absolutely, that's a huge deal back then. That's all you had, so you loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But now,
got to start somewhere. But now,
I hope consoles remain a thing. Every year, it's like consoles are going to be dead really soon. It's all going to be PC and this and that, and or if like handheld, it's all going to be handhelds. So because they were basing the market off Japan, and Japan doesn't care about consoles anymore.
Well, I know, but that's just Japan.
Well,
I feel like
no,
I feel like especially in the U.S., like there's a huge console culture.
Yep.
And I think that's going to take generations to rid ourselves of if we do. Like, I feel like that's a huge part of our gaming culture is largely console. Though I will say a lot of people have moved into the PC. Like Steam has made things so easy.
Yeah.
And now you can get everything basically on Steam. But I don't know. You guys each have your own consoles. And like, I think it's kind of shocking when I'll tell someone like, oh, all I have is like a PS2. They're like, what? Like, how do you game? You know, kind of a thing. So I don't know. Until
PC fixes its entry barrier, which is cost and setup, but primarily cost, consoles aren't going anywhere for at least 10 years.
It's a good
point.
point.
There's just no way. And Steam has tried. They're like, hey, look, we've made our own console, and nobody gave a shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's not to say they couldn't still succeed with it down the road, but they certainly have been floundering about since its launch.
I think there's an allure of consoles that, like, I just don't... Mm-hmm. To me, the input of the controller, and I know you can buy controllers for PC now.
Hell, PS4 controllers you can just plug in.
Yeah, so I guess there is that, but
even so, it's not the same.
I just love. I grew up on consoles. That's definitely part of it, and I want to stay. I can see games going completely digital far before I see consoles ceasing to exist.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. I mean, that feels like a much more natural progression than just like nixing consoles altogether. I think what you mentioned about nostalgia is a big part of it, and I think at least the generation before us, after us, millennials, like they also have that experience. So it's going to be a while until they phase out, if they ever do.
Yeah, I mean, and I like very few of my games do I own digitally. I still like the physical copy. I know there are people like me, but I'm a dying breed, and that's okay. I don't care as much about that. That to me is personal preference, right? If consoles die, that means more to me.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And it's weird because I seem to only have digital games when they're games I intend to use portably anyways. So I don't mind them for like my 3DS because then I don't have to carry cartridges. For my Switch, I got Rocket League on it, even though I already own that on two systems because it was perfect for like portable play. Whereas if I'm getting a full-blown RPG experience or whatever, I want that in tangible form. I don't know why that is, but they're linked.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, I love it. I own 3 consoles. Well, and more if you count like the handhelds and all that. And I think Japan is technically starting to come around because of the Switch. Which is a little bit cheating because it is kind of a handheld. It's a hybrid. But yeah. But hopefully they'll change. I guess I was just talking about all the naysayers with consoles, and then the idea that so many stores are going to be closing in the next, I want to say 50 years, but it's probably going to be much quicker than that because of like Amazon. Yeah. All that stuff that we're like really comfortable with, it's like it's changing really rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
It is, and as much as I don't want that to happen, I really enjoy going into brick and mortar stores. I have fucking Amazon Prime like everyone else does, and it's so convenient. And God, I was like in Seattle like kind of recently, and I was talking to some friends who live there, and they're just like, Amazon pretty much owns the entire city, and they're like holding like entire buildings hostage and shit like that. It's wild. And like, so I don't want to support it because it's a shitty corporation just like any other, but like what do we do? Like what do we do? Supporting local businesses can only get us so far when literally everyone else is supporting it, you know?
Yeah, and they've tried to adapt, you know, like brick and mortar. I've tried to have like online components, and it's tough.
It's tough. I mean, Amazon just undersells them.
Now, I'm a little surprised. I don't know the rules, but like how, and I'm not necessarily asking for this, but like based on like rules of Monopoly, right? The real thing, not the board game.
Do not pass go.
Yeah. How does that work? Like, how are they allowed to do this?
Capitalism.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what the free market states, which is why it's interesting that for all of his capitalist ideals, Donald Trump has thought about stepping into the whole Amazon. Is it because they own the Washington Post? Probably, at least in part, sure. But, you know, as somebody who's supposed to be all about pro-business, even he has thought about regulations on Amazon.
Well, but so capitalism, but like monopoly is a law that we passed, like even in a capitalist system. So I guess like why does that law not apply in this function? Like what is the loophole or whatever that allows them to just continue to dominate everything?
Well, it's not a monopoly, technically.
Businesses could do exactly what Amazon's doing or something similar and then have their own spin on it. And they could have their place in the free market, and they're just not succeeding.
Yeah.
I don't think it's at the point yet.
I feel like in other equitable situations, something similar to this has happened where it's like there's competition for this certain whatever it is, but like they're so unestablished, they stand so little of an actual chance that the monopoly was applied there. In situations that don't seem as gargantuan as this one, and yet we haven't had the laws. I'm not saying we need to. I'm just really curious as to like how it works.
It's the online component that has changed this, because this isn't all that dissimilar from when big box stores like a Walmart really started springing up all over the place. Because why would you shop at like a local outfitter store if you could buy all those clothes and groceries and electronics and this and that at Walmart? Now, because of the online ease of access, and really where Amazon has killed it is the delivery aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If it was 2-day shipping and it wasn't free for Prime members, or if it was not 2-day shipping and it was free but it still took like a week, I think the combination of those two things is what really made them have a foothold, which is why Walmart has now copied that. Best Buy has now copied that. They all offer the similar, like, we'll have it in 2 days free, because it was such a huge innovation in the industry.
It is huge. Like, and I'm surprised more people can emulate it. And maybe it is the cost. Maybe it's prohibitive. They can't compete, because if they were to compete, they would go under.
Yeah.
But I think it's so interesting. And then we talked recently, Chris and I did, about like education. That is rapidly changing, and the idea of like so many colleges in the next probably 20 years are gonna close. They're gonna go bankrupt because students are not being prepared. Like, employers are coming out and saying your degree did not at all prepare your student for like this career. And so if you're a student and you're like, why am I going to spend so much money on a degree that like isn't even going to help me at the end?
Yeah.
So their education is having to adapt as well. So we're getting all these, like, it feels like the longer we go on, there's more and more like, here are like just the institute, like the main institutions, and it's getting like less and less diverse. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like
totally
our choices are going down, our options are going down, and it's just, we just have these like few things that we're going to go to.
Yeah.
There's less movers and shakers.
It's
and
kind
maybe
of
they'll come out and disrupt that, but
it's kind of scary.
A little bit. I think it is. Maybe this is all for naught, and like there's going to be a really good disruption in all of these businesses, similar to what has happened already, and it's going to change everything. But
I just wonder, like, how do you keep one-upping? Like, what does that look like? Because it's hard for me to imagine. Then again, it was hard for me to imagine something like Amazon would come into play. So who knows? I mean, I don't have that foresight at all.
They do like an analysis of like disruptive technology. It's like the term that they use when something comes into the market and like changes everything. And they talked about it in terms of like rings from the middle, and in the middle, and usually the rings represent like cost. So if you think about like the computer, when the computer first came out, it was great and it made everything better, but it had a limited functionality, and it was normal people couldn't even come close to affording it.
Yep.
As the technology gets better, it's able to do more, and it's able the lower cost means more people can afford it, and that's when they signify that it really starts to become like disruptive to the marketplace.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's usually start small. It's something that maybe is already here and hasn't caught a foothold yet, but maybe soon. Maybe it'll be us.
Well, I'm also excited because we're going to start getting to the point where now Gen Z is going to be blamed for killing things.
Oh my God,
That's
it's
true.
true.
Like mom and pop brick and mortar stores. That's going to be on them more than it's going to be on our generation.
And taxi service. You damn Gen Zers.
And Facebook.
Oh yeah, they hate Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Gen Z hates Facebook.
Why is that?
I don't know, but I mean, they're all into Instagram, and that's owned by Facebook, so maybe it doesn't really matter. But they just aren't on it.
Do they feel like it's lame, or do they feel like it's too hateful?
Oh, I don't think it's the latter. I think
Okay.
they're just. I think they just find it easier to connect with people on Instagram. I'm not entirely sure. It may be a visual aspect of it too. I really don't know, but yeah, like the kids these days hate Facebook. Most of them aren't on it.
That's really interesting. I say hate because I know they're like Facebook is definitely desperately trying to rebrand. And you see it in their ads now, which are completely like, look at this community that we're fostering.
Yeah.
And
I know.
it's all about love. And they had foresight, obviously, for a lot of really big things. They so failed their audience, though, because they failed to see all of basically what Facebook has become, which is like a platform for a lot of hate, political shenanigans, like fake news and media manipulation and all this stuff. And Facebook, now they're trying to react, but like it's too late.
Yeah, damage done.
I mean, we use it to connect, and that's fine, but like it's grown so much beyond that.
I actually don't even know how much it matters that they own Instagram. It's a factor, don't get me wrong, but ultimately, if Instagram becomes a place where people go and Facebook dies off, Facebook's just going to have to pool its resources in Instagram then.
That's true.
It was sort of like, I think it was Yahoo that acquired Vine.
Oof.
And,
Yeah, God.
and you know, that one didn't work out so well. It didn't burgeon into success like Instagram has done for Facebook, but still, eventually, those parent companies are going to have to ride or die, whether they die themselves or their little businesses die off.
What the hell happened with Vine? Like,
well, they couldn't monetize.
Yeah,
they didn't know how to monetize it.
How do you make money on 6-second videos? You can't put ads before them. People aren't going to be there for that. You can't put ads after them. You can put ads around them, but nobody cares.
They're advertising for Snapchat now, and I wonder how effective it is or not. Because if I'm watching like an ESPN update and there's an ad that comes up and it's 5 seconds, I am like, no.
Yeah.
I'm gone. And then YouTube now has 2 ads sometimes. So I'm sure that's partially trying to push red.
Or more.
Yeah, I just use ad blocker.
Yeah, right. Well, no, but like what I've seen, they have an ad on top. So you'll go like skip ad, and then it starts another ad.
Yeah. Or they'll have like one of their like Google survey questions in an ad or, Yeah, I mean, they're trying to push red. There's no doubt about that. But even then, that's only so sustainable. You have a set base of subscribers, which is some guaranteed income, but then your audience is still limited to them. You just can't reach everybody.
This has been like really doom patrol, and it's a lot of my fault. So I apologize, but I want to bring some positivity. I am so glad to see TV trending back to a place that is not hell. Mm-hmm. That means so much to me. Like, it's like they talk about the golden age of TV. I feel like we're in it now. It's great. There's so much good original programming. So much good TV. And we're getting away, in a big way, from the reality trend where everything is a reality show.
I love reality TV, but I acknowledge it's garbage.
For years, though, everything was reality TV. And at the time, people were saying, is this the future of television? Are we no longer interested in scripts? We only find enjoyment from seeing people in reality interacting. Mm-hmm. Which is bullshit because that's all scripted too. But you understand what I'm saying. And I'm so glad that like scripted TV is making a comeback.
Totally. Yeah,
it's made a comeback. It's here.
Yeah,
it's everywhere.
I really think it actually owes to a lot of the strong shows around 2010 or so, like a Breaking Bad or The Wire or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That really pushed back against reality TV, which isn't going anywhere. People, I think, thought that was going to be a fad and it would fade away, and clearly it's not. It's going to be a subset of television now, but it's also not becoming the norm, which is great.
And like Walking Dead, as much as I have problems with it sometimes, that was another huge one. Game of Thrones is also gigantic.
All the big cultural events that people needed to check out in like 20 million droves.
Yep.
Those were important. Well, and now Walking Dead should probably die.
Probably, but it had its day. It had its day in the sun.
No denying that. And now that it's one remaining character anybody cares about is leaving, they should probably just go ahead and shut that down.
Well, that's not true. Daryl's still there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. And what's her name from who was there in season 2?
Maggie. She's also leaving.
She's also leaving.
So
good.
Yeah. But I mean, for a lot of people, like it's all about the Super Bowl. Like that's all that matters. All other television is pointless, and no one cares anymore. And I'm so happy. I wonder if they must have changed their whole model though, like how, because they can't get all the revenue from commercials, right? Because HBO subscription based, that's what it is, I'm sure, and a huge part is the subscription based service. They don't have to rely on 45 seconds of ads in between. It's great. Nope. I love it. And that's another disruption, right? The subscription-based TV.
Yep, breaking down cable and satellite, but primarily cable.
We talked about this, how cable is fucking doomed. Like their price, we were just looking at it recently. I don't remember what the numbers were, but it was like...
It's awful.
For a month? This is like maybe a year I would consider this cost.
You can subscribe to all of these subscription services, including Disney's new one and Hulu and all of them, Netflix, etc., for like half the price of what a cable subscription or a DirecTV subscription is going to run you.
It was insane, Michelle. I could not believe it. And I don't know if that's like a Flagstaff thing.
No,
I don't think so.
doubt
I think it's everywhere.
That's them doing sort of what we're doing in journalism, which is hanging on with our last breath to this old concept and hoping that the subscriber base stays alive long enough to keep us afloat. Because younger people are not buying cable or DirecTV. They're obviously doing it on the streaming because they're web savvy. So they're hoping, older people still want to have their cable box and their antenna, if they have that, God forbid.
Right.
They're used to these things, so we'll just kind of latch onto them and hope we can ride that out.
I wonder if there's like a thing of like, so when I do a workout, if I'm paying for it to go somewhere, it gets me a lot more motivated off the couch. I use it. If I'm making myself work out, like if I have a gym membership, but it's not like a class, I never go. And I wonder if there's like it's analogous to like cable. Because I remember the days when we had cable and like you turn something on TV and you don't really give a shit. It's in the background and you just have it on. Now it's like I will pay for a service because I really want to watch Netflix original programming. And so I'm paying for it and I'm making sure that I'm seeking out those shows. And when it's on, it's like I'm actively watching it. And maybe I'm unique. I'm sure plenty of people just have Netflix on in the background. But I'm just saying I think it's cool.
So I'm sure some people use Netflix. For me, YouTube is my background.
Yeah.
Various web series or whatever that I can put on and not pay full attention to. I'm also not paying anything for them, so that's even better.
Right.
Easy come, easy go.
Yeah.
The world is changing before our very eyes.
But I love TV. It's so nice. I really do. I like Netflix. I don't use for movies. Almost at all.
I don't
really
either.
It's always TV. Hulu. I really like serialized, especially what they're doing now, shorter seasons. Do you guys remember like back in the day, 24-hour long episodes in a season? Now it's like 13.
Yep.
And we're like, can we make it 10? Like 13 is kind of a lot.
And then can we have a mid-season finale and just do it like 6 months apart?
Yeah, that's true too. That whole the whole idea of seasons is changing, and I love that because I always hated that. Yeah.
It seems like seasons now are more based off of like this is a book and it's plotted out. First act, second act, third act. Whereas like back in the day, TV was like, okay, we have 24 episodes to fill. We'll have something exciting happen in the beginning and exciting at the end. And then in the middle, it's like filler. It doesn't matter.
And all of the writers would just change hands all the time. So there was a lot of inconsistency and it was just kind of a strange breed.
They usually have like the showrunners really making sure it's tight. So they'll bring in other writers, but they have to adhere to like the story. And
I think the Big Bang Theory is the last of those old relics, which is now also ending after its 12th season. But it was one of those things. Yes.
Thank God.
Yeah, it was announced last week, pretty recently. But it's one of those older shows where it was like, well, this is popular, we get tons of money, so we're just going to keep rolling it out until somebody tells us to stop. And that's, I don't think, really effective television making in the 2010s. No. It's part of the trap the Simpsons fell into, I think, because they started so far back, and now that's just really not how shows work anymore.
I wonder what's going to happen like CBS, because they have all those like NCIS and like those, what do you call them? There's a word for it. Serial, yeah.
Serialized.
And it's really popular with the old crowd. I don't know how popular it is with the younger crowd. It might be popular.
I think it kind of is. And I think those actually serve as background to people our generation. Like, I know people who will just be like, well, I watched like a whole season of NCIS while I was crocheting like 6 sweaters. Like, and it's a kind of a weird thing. So I think that they are still popular, but like people are watching them differently.
There's the benefit of serialized television. I mean, a show like Burn Notice, which is not a phenomenal show, you can kind of float in and out of if you want to. It makes for good background viewing because okay, like you said, start of the season, end of the season, big overarching plot details. Individual episodes might only have a scene that matters for the big grand scheme of things. So then maybe you care about the flavor of the week part of that episode and you really pay attention. And maybe you're not interested at all and you just kind of be like, next episode.
I get why that's there. That's like my biggest problem with television, though, is a show that never changes the status quo.
Yeah.
To me, you have to keep something fresh. You have to change the stakes, change the dynamics, keep things fresh. But like The Office, this is my biggest problem. Is like they'll tease a new exciting storyline, but then like an episode or two later, it's right back to how everything was because it's like a comfort, and people unfortunately they want that.
Yeah, they do.
So I appreciate when TV, like The 100, Michelle, continually is just putting the characters in new situations and changing things up. If you miss one episode, you could be totally lost from the next one. I love that. It means something.
But I'd say I wouldn't say you're in the minority, but I'm saying that like what you're looking for in entertainment is a very specific thing. And I think a lot of people kind of will run the whole like gamut of interests. And so they like the things that you're talking about because like 300 or whatever is 100 300 100 is very popular, but so is like shitty serialized TV as well. And so I think it kind of like you have a very specific interest in TV that is being filled, which is really good, but I think there's room for the middle ground or even
no room. No, there's not.
I'm sorry,
there's not.
We've actually confirmed there's none. I actually think you need both.
Yeah.
That contrast is important so that you have different viewing experiences. And also you need those different varieties too, because as much as people love to binge watching Breaking Bad, for example, you wouldn't want to binge watch every show of a tone like Breaking Bad.
No, but it's not necessarily tone. Like I'm watching Dragon Ball right now, and that's dumb. It sucks, but I love it so much. But it's still like they're always changing stuff up for the most
Yeah, but that's still pretty serialized. Like
in what way? What do we say? Like when we say serialized, what are we saying exactly?
I can drop in and it will say last time on.
Okay, but beyond the last time, it could be at one point all people on Earth were killed.
I know, but
if you miss that episode, you're like, what happened?
I don't think it's entirely necessary for you to watch it from the beginning all the way to the end. You could probably just drop in and be like, all right, it's Dragon Ball. Like, you're right. I think that there are like overarching
Dragon
arcs,
Ball isn't serialized episode to episode. It is arc to arc.
Yeah, it's arc to arc.
Here's Goku. What's he up to? He's kind of messing around, likes food. Haha. Bad guy showed up. Oh, he's too strong right now. Let's train. Oh, we finally beat his ass. Okay. Oh, a new bad guy showed up.
There's a formula, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the status quo at the end of every episode, they're back at old Master Roshi's den and they're going to drink a beer.
They kind of are now. Unfortunately.
Yeah, and I would even argue if you're calling The Office serialized, I mean, a lot of status quo changed throughout the seasons, too, between characters and relationships. And so, I think it's kind of the same viewing experience overall.
Office and Dragon Ball.
Yes.
Yes.
Goku is Michael Scott.
We're going to fight about this more later.
Dwight is Vegeta.
We're going to fight about this more later, but Chris asked for a shorter show tonight, and I have ruined that, so I'm going to hold myself. I'm going to restrain myself.
Yes, you and your scarf.
Yes. It's a sling.
Oh. But it looks like a
Fancy,
scarf,
fancy.
which I like.
I noticed that.
Just casual flying scarf,
I wasn't going to say anything if you didn't, but yeah, we can, yeah.
Here comes the Red Baron and
Yeah.
your Snoopy. All right, anyways, that's the end of this episode. In between them, you can come check us out on our website, objectionnetwork.com. On social media, we're at Team Objection on Facebook and Twitter, both dying brands. On YouTube, it's youtube.com/Objection Network for videos of all of our Let's Plays and other fun stuff. And finally, you can send emails to the show to objectionnetwork@gmail.com. See you next time.
Bye.